I've.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the I2I Motorsports Xfinity Championship. After our little break over the course of August, we are now racing at Atlanta once again. We're back racing again. Good to be back with you here. I'm Ewan O'Leary alongside Hamish Munro in commentary, and Jim Cunningham is on production here tonight as always. Good to be back, Hamish. I missed the last round of the season before the break, and we've had a couple of weeks off as well, so it feels like a very, very long time since we've gone racing, but it's time to get a bit more serious with this championship now. Round 6, if we're capable of that. 3 rounds to go until the playoffs. No winning, you're in, so you've got to have good final 3 races to make those playoffs, and this is quite an odd circuit to bring it to as well. The new Atlanta Motor Speedway with the plate racing these days. It's going to be a much different proposition than what this circuit used to be.
Yeah, Will. I suppose the benefits of racing at modern day Atlanta here at Echo Park is it's not quite as bumpy as old Atlanta. So, you know, we've already seen how chaotic this field can be throughout the season, Ewan, early on. And I think coming to new Atlanta, probably a better choice because the bumps very likely would have caused some incidents based on our run of having quite a few cautions on offer to us throughout this season already. But Super Speedway, Echo Park, we could see quite a few cautions again tonight, especially of the field getting overlocked with each other, around the tri-oval and in their lines of sterns as well. I think strategy could be a key tonight. Fuel game's going to be tough as well. 32 laps roughly is the estimated tank capacity of how far they can go, and to get 100 laps, well, they're going to need 4 stops or quite a few cautions to try and do it with only 2 stops on the board. So it'll be a tough night. It'll be crunch time for them. The one guarantee we do have, though, Ewan, is they will likely need a pit stop before the stage end at lap 45. Now, obviously, cautions may have a part to play in that, and that then may help those who decide just to stay out through the caution periods, and it may hurt those who decide to pit early under caution periods as well. But if there is a caution, I would say within the first 4 laps, we're going to see pit stops because it will just ease the strategy a little bit, and it will kind of reshuffle when they're able to pit, and that may see them get to the end of the race.
Yeah, and there's going to be multiple different ways of going about this as well in terms of that. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to watch out for that here tonight. As they're just on their way round in qualifying, by the way. Nearly 30 in the field again tonight. We've had great numbers all season, and it's continuing on here as well. This is the Powerline 150, by the way. You saw it on the screen a couple of moments ago here at Echo Park Speedway. As you correctly say, I am still protesting and calling it Atlanta Motor Speedway because I don't like sponsor names for these stadiums or racetracks or whatever. So anyway, but yeah, you are correct. Echo Park Speedway, just over 1.5 miles, so 150 miles tonight because we're going 100 laps. As you say, 32 laps of fuel window, but only 3 tyre changes at points across the day. So you might be able to take 4 tyres each time, but will you even want to? It's different plate racing here, isn't it, compared to Daytona that we've already seen this season, and Talladega, which we are going to see later on in the playoffs this season. It's, I feel, like the circuit, the plate race anyway, the plate racing circuit where you probably get most out of your set of tyres, but also you won't want to lose track position by taking 4 through every caution. So it's going to be a very difficult balancing act to actually figure out when to take tyres, how many to take, and weigh that up against the track position, which you're bound to lose by taking 4 tyres as well.
I suppose if there are, let's say there's a caution. Oh well, no. Even if there's a caution early, there's no worth coming in and taking two tires. It's really only worth it if we get a caution between lap 20 and lap 30, and you want to offset your strategy a little bit. Maybe it's worth it if you come in for a late dash pace car. And you want to take all 4. I think that's really only worthy, though, Ewan, if we get a long green period before the end of the race. So let's say we go from lap 50 to lap 92 prior to getting a caution. That's probably the only time it would be really worth coming in and taking all 4. Other than that, you don't really want to be doing it under a green flag pit stop, and you don't really want to be doing it under a caution pit stop either, because as you mentioned, you're going to get buried in the field because, to take 2 tyres, it costs you. He did. Logan Gill did rocket to the top. In that Shane, well, he has now gone to the top in that Shane Van Gisbergen WeatherTech livery on board that car. But you and I think realistically, to me, probably just taking 2 tyres is going to be the optimal strategy tonight. You could take 2 on every single stop. If you really wanted to, if you wanted to offset strategy early, you just come in, you just top it up with fuel at the caution breaks, just to, again, offset your strategy that little bit. But I think fuel game is going to be massive. I think fuel game is going to be massive tonight. If we get bulk cautions early, do you think it's going to favour someone to come in at every single caution and top the car up with fuel?
Yeah, I'm not sure every caution, but certainly someone who's come in on one of the earlier ones and then generally just, we've seen this in races so far this season, generally just ghost their way further and further towards the front as people fall away in crashes, or they, pit in and then drop behind them in track position as well. We definitely see an early stopper in one of those caution periods prevail. But we'll wait and see really how many there's going to be. We're not sure for the moment. Obviously, as the warm-up session just begins, the qualifying session over, and Logan Gill has taken pole position. He's 4th place in the championship standings, 23 points behind Cody Pruitt. And just looking at the championship standings, I would say that the top 4 are looking pretty safe to make the playoffs, but the guys around 10th are very, very close. So the top 4 are Cody Pruitt, Bailey Brannan, Paul Harris, and Logan Gill. And then the next 6 are, maximum. Robert Stevens Jr. is 5th place on 131. Gap back to 11th is only 15 points below that. There are your full standings, as you can see. Very, very close from 5th to 11th. So, although Troy Gruber is not racing today, I do wonder, those front 4 probably safe. It might even be officially safe, actually, after tonight. But the rest of them, my goodness, that's very, very close.
Well, you say officially safe. Cody Pruitt is not in the field tonight, so he will drop points. That will then affect if he can make it into that top 10. Can we just scroll up back to the top of the page, just because I want to mention something? You can see drivers all the way down to, you can maybe say 5th, let's say 13th actually. So Trey Graber's not racing, so he's effectively going to drop below those drivers right behind him. And then look at those drivers with Quinton Morrow and Jack Anderson as well. They are, relatively speaking, within the hunt to make the top 10 at the moment here, Ewan. Quinton Morrow not in the field though. So that says to me that if Anderson could get some good stage points tonight and maybe even finish inside the top 10 in this race, he could sneak his way up into the top 10 in the championship, and then a strong run across the next 2 weeks could see him make the playoffs in his debut season by missing the first 2 rounds of the season as well, which is an incredible effort. And one thing that went the way of helping him get there, arguably, was that very impressive win back at the Red Bull Ring. For my money, though, at the moment, Bailey Brannan is my favourite at this stage. I think he's very, very strong. He's had some strong pace as well. Paul Harris has had some moments of brilliance. Logan Gill's been caught up in some issues throughout this season as well. But yeah, in terms of the front runners, Brannan is my pick at the moment.
That's not a bad pick. If we're going to do mid-season predictions, and why not? I'll go for something a little bit more left field, maybe. Actually, I'll just check he's here today. Oh, he is. So yes, I will go for this. A little bit of a left field pick. Mike Rinker maybe could do us a bit of a surprise.
You know what, Ewan? I looked at those names and I saw Mike Rinker, and I'm like, Ewan's going to pick Mike Rinker, isn't he? And you did.
Why would you say that? Why do you think?
I don't know. I saw the names and that one spoke to me, if I'm honest with you, and I thought that's a real Ewan pick. I could see him picking Mike out of P6, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It's just I saw the name and I'm like, I feel like Ewan will pick this one, and you did. So I feel like an oracle once again. As you mentioned, though. Thank you.
I didn't know I was going to pick Mike. I probably knew I was going to pick Mike Rinker after you knew.
Probably.
if I was to guess. Just to explain why, just briefly, so I know you're trying to say something. very consistent across the board. Wasn't at one of the rounds. You remember that round? I can't remember which one it was, but he spent the whole race about 4 laps down and just plugged away for minor points.
I believe it might have been
this championship.
It might have been when we caught some. No, hang on. Was it last time that issue happened? No, it was the week before. I think it was 2 rounds ago where we had the issue of the driver parking at the entry to pit lane and causing a caution. Half the field went a lap down. I think that was the race where that happened to him, and he ended up laps down. So yeah, it was a few weeks ago. That was an odd scenario, to be fair, that caused us to get into that situation for Mike. So it was an extreme circumstance that saw him end up 4 laps down. I don't know if he's going to end up 4 laps down tonight, but I think surviving the train and surviving the pack is going to be a big key point.
Yeah, it's going to be massive here tonight. We've got 30 seconds to go in warm-up session. Me and Hamish are giving our championship predictions, our season predictions. We'll bring Jim in as well to do the same on production tonight and for all the rounds of the Xfinity Championship. Good evening, Jim. What's your season prediction?
Well, obviously, Brandon is an incredibly strong pick. But in lieu of not picking the same the person as Hamish, I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Hamish's buddy Jack Anderson. He's way back. But
I have no faith. I have zero faith that he will.
Look, Jack can,
just because he's my friend, I have no faith.
Jack can rack up wins though, and that's what it's going to take, and he can do that. So.
Arguably,
anyway,
though, he needs a. Do we have a road course in the final 5 rounds? Because without a road course, he's kind of in the mud then, because he's yet to get a podium on the ovals.
Well, maybe we can convince him to switch Homestead to the road course.
Imagine if we did. Yes, road course B. Send him there. Get him on the bowl. That'd be a good time.
All right, here we got a grid. Let's go to work.
Can you imagine the reaction of the drivers? Anyway, let's get on with this, shall we? And bring you the grid here from Atlanta. It's Logan Gill who takes pole ahead of Tyler Murgy, with Trey Martin and Levi Murdoch sharing row 2. Bailey Brannon's on the inside of 3 ahead of Taylor Strong. It's Paul Harris and Robert Stevens Jr. on row 4 ahead of Jesse James and Nick Donati. Nicholas Meadows and Zach Smathers then share row 6. At 13th place, qualified was Nate Owen ahead of William Hawker. Joe Dyson and Caleb Ross are on row 8. Ross right around that playoff bubble, by the way, a bit further down for 10th place. It's Logan Urquhart and Ryan Simmons on row 9 ahead of Trey Jones and Jack Anderson, who round out the top 20. Daniel Wing and Jordan Ferguson then on row 11. B. Strong and Mike Rinker, the first driver not to set a time, in 24th. Neither did John Roberts or Charles Rinker. Trey Greber isn't racing, although he's appearing there. He's not racing tonight. He's race control for us tonight. So let's see how we go here from Atlanta, shall we? We've already got 99 pulling down to the apron. Levi Murdoch seems to be going to the back of the field straight away. I'm not sure whether we're going to get the start right away here or whether we're going to get a pace lap and a half, because we've got a car on the apron out of position here, and the pace car's going to pull in anyway. Well, this will be interesting as the race gets underway. We bring ourselves towards the line. It's the Powerline 150 here from Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Logan Gill, race winner one time in our season so far, gets us underway. Green flag from Atlanta. We are underway. Clean start through lap 1 here from Atlanta, and it is the 88 of Logan Gill who leads the way, pushed excellently off the start by Trey Martin to the lead, and it's got single file pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's a hotly contested start. They're already trying to find their lanes that they want to sit in tonight. The important thing will be is not getting hung out to dry you, and not getting, pushing someone along to get them to the front of the low line, and then all of a sudden you're stuck on your own and you're unable to go anywhere. So drivers are going to have to work together. They're going to have to plan amongst themselves and kind of have a bit of a gentlemanly agreement that we're going to try and work together. It's a long race. You know, let's try and get this thing to the last 5 laps so we can battle for the race win, as Trey Martin just tucks up in behind Bailey Brannan. New number on board that car for Martin this weekend. He's taken the 39 from Anderson, who's previously ran that number, and now he continues to fight again as well. Anderson now running the 58 further back in the field, just to give a little shout out to that one. Brannan, though, into the race lead at the commencement of lap 4. And at the moment, he's looking strong. Is the old bucket seats? Well, I say bucket seat. It's because his seat is literally a bucket, Ewan. Martin gets loose! Massive incident with Paul Harris.
Oh my word, it's happened already on the back straight. This is why I was just about to mention, actually, some guys hanging around at the back, like Jack Anderson in 58 tonight, just hanging around at the back to begin with, because they suspected that something like this could happen early on in the day, and it has done. Unfortunately, a crash on the backstretch on lap 4 has taken some guys out of this race already. We'll have a replay in a moment and see how it all transpired, how it happened, but that's why some of these guys have taken it so cautiously to begin with. They know the dangers of Atlanta in this new configuration.
Yeah, I mean, we'll watch this as they run round. So Trey gets loose as they come off of the banking, and then that pushes him almost, well, kind of raises him up towards the wall. And then obviously once the car's into the wall, I believe he breaks the steering. So the car, he cannot control it. And then Paul Harris, or we'll call him Poor Harris in this scenario, right behind him, nowhere to go. So actually he ducked down low, made rear end contact with Gill. That's then shot him back up into the wall and straight into the side of Paul Harris's 91 car. Nowhere for Paul to go. And unfortunately nowhere to go either for the car in behind him, who makes contact with him as well. So that's early damage to those cars. Of course, Paul is one of the championship contenders at the moment as well. And you just see it and how much worse it gets for the field. That could hurt Paul Harris tonight, Ewan. He needs a strong run now throughout the rest of the piece. And he needs to try and keep that car clean now for the next 96 or so laps if he hopes to remain in the top 10 in the championship, leaving to, well, he will remain in the top 10, but remain in a strong position in the championship battle.
He starts the day 60 points above the cut line, Harris, so he won't be desperately worried at the moment, but it is a slight concern that this has been such a bad start. It was Taylor Strong right behind him, by the way, who had no choice almost but to pile in, and has been down pit lane since, 15 seconds on the lane and back out again in 19th. Mike Rinker and Charles Rinker also came in along with Harris, as you'd expect. John Roberts, Trey Martin, Caleb Ross also been in the pit lane. Daniel Wing, the only driver in there for an extended period of time. Although Caleb Ross has lost a lap, Daniel Wing's losing multiple now after minutes-long pit lane. So already some fueling going on back there, and yeah, wonder whether those guys will now hope for enough cautions to make it to the stage. I'd be doubtful they can make it, to be honest, even with some cautions. But let's see if that is the call, if that's the idea.
Well, the two main issues now is, right, so the majority of those guys have been forced to come into a closed pit lane because it was closed immediately when the caution was called. We even saw them when we came past, the red light was still on the pit entry. So even though they're at the back of the field, yeah, they all get an end-of-line penalty. They're all at the back anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The main thing now is when this pit lane, or actually it's not going to open apparently, so we're going to get going again straight away. I was going to mention that if it were to open, we could see some of the drivers that sort of just towards the back of the field, who knows that those other cars have got EOLs, could come in, take fuel, and pretty much retake their position. Your Tyler Murgys, your Jordan Fergusons, Joe Dysons, Jack Andersons, etc. They could come in, take fuel, return to the field, and actually return to their position, because those cars that pit on lap 4 and 5 would have an end-of-line penalty, so they'd always be able to go back past them again.
Well, the drivers are now gridding up 2 by 2, I should say, on the back straight. We will have completed 7 laps of this race at the end of this one. Let's hope that first run is not a theme of this race. We want to see some nice green flag racing and see some of these, some of these groups actually develop. A lot more fun, these super speedways, if you have longer runs. It's not short track racing. Sometimes the short and punchy runs are quite fun. It's It's the longer runs that develop you want to see on the super speedway racing, plate racing as I should call it really, here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, of course. We've seen Brannan blinking a bit on the inside line, but anyway, he'll be in control of the field here as they come into the Hookers Automotive restart zone in a moment, and they will get themselves back underway again. There it is on the right-hand side, and Brannan goes. He will get clear even by the start line, and Gill will have to just tuck in behind. Green flag for the first restart of the day. Against the leader, Bailey Brannan this time though, restarts from the front and he leads a lap as well, although immediately challenged by Logan Gill on the high side through 1 and 2. Here they come on that outside line.
Yeah, those two lines getting themselves sorted once again, but you can see just the characteristics and the maneuvering of the cars in the back of the field, just getting loose a little bit off that corner. They've got to be careful not to make contact, obviously, as they continue around the tri-oval here, and just try and keep these cars as clean as possible. The problem is you're flat foot to the floor. You're trying to go as fast as possible and trying to control these things at this sort of pace where you're side by side and you're inches away from each other. Well, you're almost an inch away from disaster happening, which you've already seen a case of tonight in that first 10 laps. But, battle's going to be important tonight. Oh, big wiggle off of that Camry, and now he's up into the wall as well. That was Nate Owen, who's now going to drop down the field. Massive loss of momentum there, Ewan. One thing I did want to point out, though, tonight is...
Oh, no.
Oh!
That'll be it.
Oh, no caution thrown. The quick one thing I wanted to mention was the pit entry tonight. That's going to be a big factor as well. You have to come into the pit entry on the back straight and get your car slowed down. It's a long and slow pit lane, a long and slow pit entry as well. That could have a part to play in pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. It works a little bit different to any other mile and a half, really. It's a big wiggle on the low side again as well, just in the background there as it's side by side for the lead again. You can see that this group is small because they don't really want to be involved in the accident, which some are seeing as almost inevitable out front at the moment. Some of these cars look really tight, I've got to say, coming into 1 and into 3 especially. And that's a little bit what we saw with Nate Owen, just couldn't turn, and he just went straight up into the wall at turn 1. Or turn 3, sorry. So a lot of guys seeing that as a potential disaster point here, and they're just backing away. In fact, at the front group at the moment, we've got 17 involved. Some of them hanging back, though, just towards the back end. They're not at the front, though. Gill and Brannan battling side by side. Oh, battling to lead laps right now. Battling to lead this race and being pushed on by each line in equal measure.
What do you mean? How close do they want to get to danger here? You know what I mean? They could have shaken hands through the passenger and driver side window. They were that close then. But it's great to see. It's great to see these guys able to race like this. But it is truly, for Gill, he'd hope that not James behind him, Donati and behind him will give him a little push just to push him into the race lead. Brannan will be hoping for the push from the 5 car of Jesse James. Neither of them are getting it at the moment, so they're both hitting the wall, and the rest of the field behind them are kind of getting a little bit impatient, and they kind of want him to push forward here, although, as I mentioned it, Donati finally gives Gill a little bit of an advantage, pushes him along on the back straight, but every time they enter that banking at turn 3-4, he tucks back in behind Brannan again because he's not getting pushed through the oval portion of this track.
Into 1 and 2 again. It just seems that outside loses momentum every time they almost go through the turns. That's helping Brannan at the moment. Now we'll just need to receive the push in the background, and there you can see it. Oh! 5 car down low, and look at that. Oh dear, what's going to happen there? It just about keeps it on the apron. That was nicely done. But just in front of these guys, again, we get away with it. A number of others jump to the apron as well, and will now back away. This front group getting smaller by the moment. There are actually some stops there. Jack Hansen and Jordan Ferguson both came in there.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on them, see if they somehow jump the start or if this is going to be a genuine pit stop. Both cars are in, though. course, those guys are teammates further back in the field, so interesting strategy to take a green flag pit stop. I feel this may be oh no, it is a green flag pit stop. They're stopping for fuel. We are on lap 16 though, so they're actually stopping early here, Ewan, in the hopes that they could gain some positions possibly through some caution periods. They'll work together. They'll try and get in the train together and use the draft. They can make it to stage end from this point though.
Yeah, they can, and they're sort of banking on this going green all the way there, I think, but I'm not sure, or at least until lap 30, and these guys all have to pit as well, but I'm not sure that even that's going to happen at the moment. Let's wait and see as we come into 3 and 4 on board with Zach Smathers here, who is getting a lot of support in the chat for coming to the front. We'll see whether he can do in a moment, as he's on the low side of this situation, currently in 7th position. Well, battling away for it anyway, 7th position, and perhaps 6th as well, with Trey Jones on the outside, forming up 2 rows again here. Just a few laps of Logan Gill controlling both lines is coming to an end as that outside line begins to get a run. Oh, bad push there, bad push in front, and that was very nearly another crash on the backstretch.
This is the issue now with that bump drafting. These are the gambles and the games that they're playing, the risks and rewards of, well, do you try and bump drafts where you can get a little bit loose or you can make the car in front of you a bit loose? That could cause dramas as well. Patience, I think, is a key word tonight, Ewan. They've got to be patient. They've got to try and keep themselves in check throughout this race as well. So we'll see, though. We'll see how they go and how they continue to race forward.
Unfortunately, racing drivers are famously impatient, which creates this very anxious feel to this, or at least I am while watching it. Goodness knows what the drivers are feeling at the moment. It's super speedway and plate racing. It's just all about nerves the whole way through, and that's very much going to be the case here if you're in this group. Less so if you're hanging around at the back, but even so, you're not quite clear of it, even if you're at the very back, because these guys crash in front. It's going to be very difficult for you to actually avoid. And as the tyres get more worn down as well, of course, the equation gets more difficult as they start to float around a little bit more as well.
You can see, I mean, it's kind of the old adage of, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I mean, you can see how the cars get underweighted and put on, or underweight and off weight. And as the cars kind of lift through these little sections, can you imagine how this would be as Taylor Strong's just gone round in the background? He was making some good gains after an early pit stop. There's another car in the wall as well back there. I think it might be B Strong. So unfortunately, he's lost the Kids' Choice Award here tonight as well. Crashes out hard, just like 2005. And now he's had to tow back to pit lane. And actually, I think it might have been the teammates who came together, both Blue Line Technology cars. So the 11 went round. That there was Taylor. And then how was... Oh, no, B went the wrong way. He went up on the high side, and the 11's come up right in front of him. Well, if you're Blue Line Technologies, that's a good way to get some advertising out. Wouldn't recommend using it, though, in your spring advertising campaign.
No, that's the 11 car's second incident of the day. I always feel like when we see those replays in slow motion that we should talk in slow motion too, but anyway, that's just my inner monologue. In the meantime, into the pit lane for most of the drivers, apart from Nicholas Meadows, who stays out. That's nonsensical as far as I'm concerned. I don't know quite what he's planning at the moment, but 22 laps complete. You can easily make it to the stage and a little bit further, in fact, not that really matters. So it's a no-brainer for me coming in. And again, this is why I wouldn't have come in if I was Jack Anderson and Jordan Ferguson. Anderson is going to get back on the lead lap, going to get the wave around, I think, but Ferguson's behind Meadows and so won't get back on the lead lap. And again, that's exactly why I wouldn't have come in under green like when they did, but there you go. There's time left in this race. Out of the pit lane first for Bailey Brannan, who only takes 2 tyres. Then it's Gill, who takes 4. So does Nick Donati. 2 tyres for Stevens, Simmons, Logan Aker as well. 4 tyres, though, for Zach Smathers, who loses a couple of places in that one. Trey Jones down to 9th, who's taken 4 as well. 4 tyres for William Hawker, who will not quite round out the top 10 because Jack Anderson's racing around, having taken the wave around. It is a mix of 2 and 4 tyres taken.
So that strategy there worked out for Anderson. Didn't work out for Ferguson because Anderson obviously got the lucky dog rule. So if Ferguson had obviously been allowed to get waved around, so if Meadows had actually come in, they both would have gone past. They both would have ended up around about the top 10. Anderson was held up slightly, obviously, when he approached the pace car. He had to wait for the wave around. That probably cost him a position to Trey Jones, but he's right up there now and amongst that top 10. And in fact, he's actually holding the high line and giving some positions away. So I'm unsure why. Whether that's he has to go back to the position he was in, I'm not sure. But, I mean, in my opinion, his strategy gained him spots. He should be able to hold on to the position.
This for Jack you're talking about? Yeah. I would imagine he has to be at the back if you've waved around. I do get what you're saying, that, you know, his strategy has gained him those places. But yeah, the wave around mandates that you have to start at least quite far towards the back, if not dead last in the restart. And yeah, again, that's another downside to that strategy, that even if you do get your wave around, you are going to be a long way back.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is a downside to the strategy. You know, he was probably hurt now by this caution getting called, so he's going to have to hope maybe for some bulk carnage further up the field. But it's a long race, Ewan. It's a long race. It's anyone's game, respectively, throughout the field. Even if you're a lap down now, you could get your wave around at another caution and get back on the lead lap. But also, the rest of the field could get caught up and end up in pit lane.
Absolutely. We'll see what transpires. Very interested to see how Nicholas Meadows navigates this next part of the race here. Not stopped yet. Is he trying to go to lap 45 without stopping? Well, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what he does in this Powerline 150 here from Atlanta Motor Speedway, as the pace car will pull in to the pit lane again. The Hawkers Automotive restart zone will come up very quickly for Meadows, who has to wait for just a moment before getting us back underway again here from Atlanta. Here we go again. Green flag waves at the start of lap 24. Just 21 to go until the stage break. And it's Meadows who leads, having stayed out under that previous caution. You can see Meadows just trying to stay out of the way, really, of the freight train that's coming through. That's Brannan to the inside on his two tyres. Gill pushing him through. Donati goes through as well as Brannan gets just a little bit out of the groove. The front three come through. Meadows is going to get freight trained here if he's not careful.
Yeah, old tyres. He might have low fuel, but he's got no grip on this race lead at the moment. He's already dropped down to P4 as another caution is thrown here. And it's Zach Smathers, who's been in the wall on the oval at turn 1-2. That 2 car is now parked up on the infield, toes back to pit lane. That there has probably killed Nicholas Meadows in terms of trying to make it to the stage end, because the longer now that we go cautionless, obviously, the more confident he's going to be that he could stay out there safe. You'll get to lap 45. The problem is, though, his tyres are absolutely cooked compared to everyone else's, because everyone has taken at least 2 in their first stop in this race here, Ewan. So for Meadows, for my money, he's going to drop well outside the top 10 by the time we get to lap 45, unless we go caution lap after caution lap after caution lap, and it just holds him in position.
And this is the biggest crash of the day so far, by the way. I wouldn't mind watching this in full speed to get the real violence of it, to be honest.
Paul Harris caught up there as well.
It's a big one. Yeah. 91. 2 car here going for a right journey. Zach Smathers in that 2 car. As you mentioned, this is full speed. Well, here we go. Just a little bit further back. So it's right in the mid-pack here. Some real runs on the outside. Smathers goodness me.
I have to argue that's on him. He's gone low on the car that was on that low line and just caused absolute havoc.
I'm not sure where to pin the blame, actually, because, you know, there was so little space around. There were such big runs coming that, very, very interesting to see. Here it is again. This is fast forward. Hello. Even more violent. There's normal speed. Yeah.
I didn't realise the flash was controlling the cameras tonight, if I'm honest with you. I think that's still fast forward as well. But one thing that I've just seen actually, and I think this is a big mistake. Jordan Ferguson's come back in pit lane, and I feel I'm not sure if he was in position to get the lucky dog prior to the pace car getting called or not. If he was, no, he hasn't. I think Tyler Murgy's going to get it because he's actually now ahead of him. And the point I was going to make was, if he was going to get it, he should have waited until after he got the wave around and then come into pit lane as he came around for his fast lap, because they were never going to catch him if he came in for that little top up of fuel. A couple more cars are coming again as well. Anderson and Hawker have both been back through pit road as well. They've just taken a little splash of gas to get to the next section. Meadows has stayed out as well. And Rinker and Roberts have also come in on lap 27 as well. So a couple of cars have come through. Trey Martin also came in as well on lap 26. So pit stop strategies are very interesting tonight, Ewan. But yeah, I think at the moment the money's got to sit with Bailey Brannan. I call him Bucket Brannan because he does sit on a bucket while he races. Logan Gill, Nick Zanatti as well, because Meadows in all this, he's the outsider. He hasn't pit yet. He's trying to make it to the end of the stage without pitting. The issue is he's probably going to drop out of the top 10 because he's got no grip, and starting on that high line is going to hurt him off this restart because he's going to have no grip to hold pace up there. It's going to end one of two ways. He's either going to end up in the wall or he's going to end up dropping positions, like a kid dropping his marbles. It's going to be a tough time.
Well, let's see how we go on this new restart, because we've got just 16 on the lead lap now already. A lot of damage, especially at the back end of the field, and a pretty stop-start race so far. Is that number 3 so far in 29 laps?
I think so. I think
it's number 3. So yeah, we've had one decent run all the way to the just over or just under 20 laps, somewhere around 15 laps. In the middle of this race, but we've only got 16 to the stage break now, so you can imagine that the racing is going to be aggressive for those points. Top 10, of course, gaining the points from the stage that could be so crucial to making the playoffs here at the end of the season or not. As they come into the Hawkers Automotive restart zone again, Bailey Brannan back in control of the field. Meadows still out there on the old tyres, by the way, and he's side by side, in fact, rubbing with Donati as they restart here.
Watch that 22 car. Watch it to lose grip. He is caught on his own, and he's caught out to dry with no one to push him along on that outside line. I would not be surprised if by the end of lap 32, Ewan, he's towards the back end of the top 10. Somehow he's side drafting towards the front. I don't know how he's doing that, but the tyres have got to give way eventually, and he's going to lose momentum. The best case scenario for him is a caution is thrown, because that will hold him up in that position, and very likely will go caution until the stage end.
Yeah, and that would help him fuel-wise as well, because we're reaching that point of the anticipated fuel window for those who are running green, of course, the whole time at 32 laps. Oh, Gill has a look down the inside, and there was just no space there. It's a similar rule as Daytona and Talladega. You can't go below the line to make up a pass like that, and so Gill stays where he is. We're about to get to lap 32 now, but I would say that he's gained at least 6 laps under the cautions by saving fuel, and goodness knows what else through the actual green flag racing when he was hanging around at the back earlier. Here goes Gill to the inside, and now we've got Brannan up there sort of on his own on the outside line.
It's an interesting strategy to see if it pays off for him, because getting caught out on that outside with no one to drag you along, you can see it there. He's been buried all the way back to P4 now as Brannan. And if he's not careful, the 22 of Meadows with those poor tyres could get past him as well. So this here is not working out for Brannan too well. But look at who's sneaking up in the background there. There's a couple of cars who've just snuck their way into the top 10. Anderson, James, and Dyson have all snuck up there. And they're all... Oh, apart from James is on the low line, but Anderson and Dyson are up on that high line and have just snuck their way through into a possible points-getting position for the end of this stage.
Yeah, Anderson has just been ghosting up the field ever since getting back onto the lead lap again. leaving those to scrap over the Lucky Dog. And by the way, Ferguson, Murgy and Martin are doing that down towards the back end of this field, trying to work their way forward. Look at that great push on the outside line from the one car of Trey Jones, pushing Brannan side by side with Gill. This is proper plate racing here from Atlanta. You can see it here. Top 10 or so, or top 12 I should say, are properly packed in with each other. The rest of them a bit more hesitant about getting involved, and you can see why as they aggressively race for these points. 11 to go before the stage at the end of this lap.
So the problem now is for Nick Meadows is if this continues to go green, he's going to have to pit under a green flag stop. The issue then becomes big for the cars directly behind him because he's going to have to try and get off the road onto the inside right down here on the back stretch and get slowed up before that pit entry. That could cause dramas and it could catch some drivers out if they're not ready for him to enter pit lane. As Donati and Jones get side by side, nearly bang some doors as well. Top 6, all in duos, all in pairs, and trying to find a line. But which lane has the benefit as the one car drops to the low line now? And we'll see if that gives any sort of gain to the 58 who's on that outside, or if Brannan and Anderson are going to get eaten up here. But they're just really loose around those corners there, Ewan.
Yeah, I think the balance just doesn't look right at all. Sometimes some of them look really quite tight, and then, yeah, as we saw there, really loose off of 2 there, excuse me, on the low side there from Nick Donati. So, yeah, this is pretty difficult to find balance. Oh, and there's contact in the background. There's a car spinning to the inside. Surely there's going to be a caution. There will. Oh, it's just outside the top 10. And we've got another big smash here. And another one for the 3 car gets involved. Mike Rinker at the back end of the lead lap. Dear, oh dear. It's another caution. 4th of the afternoon. And it was we've got an engine gone as well. Just up the road there. We've got an engine. And that is going to take a lot of repairing. We've already got nearly 10 drivers either many laps down or retired from this race, and we might be about to have some more.
Yeah, that was Tyler Murgy who had the blown engine on the inside of the back stretch. So let's watch. So there was actually contact between the Cat car further back from this sort of front 7 cars. He's then ended up in the wall, and that's kind of caused all hell to break loose. So he's gone right up the rear. Yeah, so that there is that's not Jack, that's the 71 car of Joe Dyson. So into the rear of Joe Dyson, that's then caused havoc with the 3. No, that's Ferguson actually, who was trying to get his lucky dog actually in the 46. So all hell breaks loose for those cars. They have to take evasive action. There you see the 39 as well of Trey Martin, Rinker as well. Multiple cars off the road in that moment there. And multiple cars have had to come through pit lane as well. So we'll see if EOLs get called. Ferguson has managed to get his wave around still, even after all that, Ewan. So he'll now get back onto the lead lap, which is lucky for him.
It is.
Must be said. He should get his wave around.
It's in the name, so fair enough. But yeah, this is on board. I mean, this is just, in the end, it actually causes self problems. Just a really poor bump. A really poor bump there, Ewan. Yeah, the car was lifting off in front, but you've got to be expecting that's going to be happening at plate racing, the driver in front of you lifting off, and unfortunately for Wing, he actually gets hit an abnormal amount of times after the incident itself. I mean, that's 5 drivers who piled into him there, which is a bit unfortunate, but of course unfortunate for those who piled in as well. Quite a lot of drivers involved in that.
Yeah, quite a few have been involved as well. I've just seen Ferguson come into pit lane as well, just to give the update. He's actually missing his bonnet. So he's been given that. He was a lap down already, and now he's back in the pit lane, and I think his day might actually be done. I think he's already used his fast repair previously. So that there may be race over for that 46 car. So now the pressure goes to his teammate further up the field, which if he were to finish where he is, inside the top 5 at the moment, that would get him good stage points here, Ewan. But if he could also, actually he's out again actually, so he must have managed to fix it. Okay, that's fine. Make me a liar, Jordan. It wouldn't be the first time. If Anderson can actually remain up there in that top 5, and the reason I mention this is he'll get not only good stage points, Ewan, which will help his charge towards the top 10 in the championship, but if he could stay up there for the whole race, he could really bank some solid points that would find him inside the top 10 with the 2 cars directly ahead of him in the championship, not racing tonight. So he's got the best opportunity. He needs to make the most of it here at Echo Park. He needs to get into that top 10 in the championship, especially if he wants to take part in the playoffs in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely. The first round of the playoff starts on September 20th, by the way, from Las Vegas. That's after these next 3 rounds, including this week of the regular season. There's your schedule. That's the remainder of this regular season. And after tonight, we could have had drivers actually already locked in. Good evening to Cody Pruitt, though, who says that he hates to miss this race, blaming his kids. Fine, but that's why he's away here tonight, unfortunately. 194 points to his name already, by the way. He's 78 ahead of 11th. If you're over 80 ahead at the end of today, then you will be in. So, or you would have been anyway, but Pruitt's not going to get the chance to do that today. Brannan might do. It might be more difficult for Harris after today, and certainly for Gill as well. But Gill's still there or thereabouts. In fact, he's going to take us to the Hawker Automotive restart zone to restart here with just 5 to go until those stage points. A caution from now would end the stage, and so it's going to be all gloves off from here to that lap 45.
So remember how I mentioned Meadows was trying to save fuel to get to the end of the stage? Well, he's committed now. He's actually taken a pit stop here, Ewan. So he went long. He's now taken fuel and tyres on that last stop. So he's back in the game. He's still on the lead lap. He is back in the game. He's outside the top 10, probably out of opportunity to get stage points with only a few laps left till the stage ends, but in a good position for the race strategy because he's managed to go 38 laps, and actually he's up to P11, so he could actually get in the top 10 here. I could be made a liar once again by the drivers out there, but he's looking good actually for strategy because he goes 32 laps after this. He gets to lap 70, which is 30 laps to the end. He can do this on 2 more stops, or 1 more stop actually, to get home.
Yeah,
so 2 stop strategies open for him.
Exactly, yeah, and that's what he was aiming for. I think he wasn't thinking about the stage and making it to the end of the stage, but he was thinking about getting to the end on just 2 stops. The caution flies, and that will end the stage. 3 laps to go. Nick Donati will win the stage ahead of Logan Gill, Trey Jones, as the caution flies.
Wouldn't you know it? Who's just caused that caution? It was actually Nick Meadows. Oh wow! He got caught on the left rear. I was just watching him as I was talking about him. He got caught on the left rear up into turn 3. That then made him a bit loose. Put up into the wall. He's still running. The car's not too broken, but he was sent up into that wall, and that's what has caused the caution to get flown here at this stage. So Donati gets the stage win. Gill, Jones, Brannan, Anderson, Simmons, James, Owen, Dyson, and Hawker getting points for the stage break, so that will help their championship charge.
Well, the incident's already happened at this park. I can't see where he's actually got. Oh, okay, we won't see it. I can't see the point at which he was actually backwards or facing the wrong way there.
He slowed up on the oval. Once he hit the wall, then he was going a bit slower, and the caution was thrown. So unless the car that hit him ended up the wrong way round, which was the 90 entry. So unless they ended up the wrong way around, then I don't really have an answer for you as to why. Although he was turned. Yeah, he was turned. So that probably pulled the caution.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that angle was just about sort of steep enough, if you like. It based it on the sort of angle that you would likely be spinning at, although sometimes it seems a little inconsistent. It's a computer, so it won't be. But yeah. It has brought out the caution. Lap 44 about to be crossed. So I'm of the understanding of the rules. Maybe I'm understanding it wrong, but I believe that it's the case that the points haven't been taken yet because we haven't gone through lap 45. We know that what the positions are going to be because the caution's out. But if they come into pit lane, I'm under the understanding that they would lose their stage points because they haven't actually crossed lap 45 yet.
Yeah, I think the majority of the drivers at the front would know that by now. It's those drivers up there who may not be. Well, no, the point I mentioned that is it's those drivers who may not be used to being in the top 10 at the end of the stage. So I'm I'm trying to think which one. Well, maybe Ryan Simmons. I don't really have much memory of him being within the top 10 during a stage break. But yeah, I'd hope those guys know that they shouldn't come in until they actually reach lap 45 to get to the stage end. Although we're gonna go green flag running at the commencement of lap 46. So none of them come into pit lane out of that top 10. They'll all get points now that we've met lap 45 here, Ewan. Restart zone will get lit up once again here at Echo Park, and it's now going to be a run to the end. 55 laps till the checkered flag. Anyone's game, but we know how chaotic this field has been. How chaotic is it going to be within that top 10 as we get closer to the end of this race?
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's the green. The lights are still on here. So they won't go green this time round. They will cross the line as they are, and then we'll be in. I believe this is going to be lap 46 restart, and I believe that nobody's going to be able to come into pit lane either. So they'll have to just carry on a bit further. Most of the guys, in fact, everybody in the top 12 have been out there since about lap 22, and maybe a little bit later, only by a few laps. That means that they'll be able to go past lap 50, maybe lap 55 or so. But some of these guys, especially right out towards the front, will actually need quite a quick caution here on this restart for the final stage. Otherwise, they will need to make a green flag pit stop, which we don't see very much of.
So Meadows has actually now extended his opportunity here for strategy. He's come in on lap 43, so he's taken 2 stops. He's just taken some extra fuel on board that car. So now his strategy, if we were to go green to the end, now can extend out to around about lap 75 instead of lap 70, which then obviously means he only needs 25 laps of fuel to get home. So his strategy here could be a little bit better than the rest of the field. The front runners now, very likely, Ewan, do need a caution at some point prior to lap 60 to try and give themselves the advantage to only need one more stop to get home. It's going to be a tough job, but it is possible. Although the pace car's still running. It still has its lights on. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, they're going to. So they've gone through lap 45, and they've now opened the pit lane. So this is going to be a very long caution, actually.
We'll see. We'll see then who decides to make the decision to go in.
Nope.
Let's go to a commercial break just quickly.
When it's midnight, keeping it tight. If people wanna go to war, it can get dark, but we stay bright. Coming like a night, it's on sight. If you touch my sleeve, they wanna disagree when it's clear that I'm speaking facts. Man like me, you know I'm proactive. Never gonna stop till I see the big man's on flats.
Hop on the front door, it's like midnight. Don't lose your grip, cause you might fall out again. Off-white whip, need for speed. I'm not switching the lane. Pick up the pace, bro, like that.
Welcome back to Atlanta, where we've had that extended caution. We believe to let people pit, although not many people decided to. And we'll be back underway again in a moment. The pace car lights are off, and I think it's going to stay that way for the next few moments, just before they get racing again. We will be racing on lap 47. Drivers at the front especially probably only able to go about 10 more laps or so. So hoping for an extended green flag run here, to be honest, so that we can see some green flag pit stops, which, as I mentioned just before the break, that they're pretty rare in this series, unfortunately. So it would be nice to have those. Let's wait and see, though, as the pace car will take that sharp left in a moment, and it will be in control of the field. Nick Donati, stage winner here from Atlanta. And he's going to bring us back to green as well on the other side after that stage break. Lap 47, almost at halfway now here tonight in the Powerline 150. Back underway, Nick Donati, stage winner, leading them back to green. End of the opening lap from that restart. Donati leads it again as Logan Gill gives a big push out front. These guys, as I say, are approaching lap 30 of their stint already here, so won't be able to go that much longer as they continue on. Gill, though, pushing Donati really well to begin here.
Yeah, he's wanting to work with his teammate at the front of the field and try and keep some good gap behind to Brannon and hold off that oncoming traffic as well. If we're looking at those lines, we can see the outside line. We've got Brannon, Anderson, and James looking to work together on the outside, but a little bit of a scrape of the wall. That might slow them up just slightly on the low line. We've got Donati, Gill, Jones, and Simmons trying to work together to hold off that 3 cars above them there. But it's tantalizingly close, Ewan, to possible incidents happening. As we mentioned, those cars at the front, they want a caution prior to probably lap 65, so they get a free pit stop, even if it's only enough fuel for a few laps to get them to the end of the race. Perfect time would be lap 68 because they'd only need 1 pit stop to get home, but it's getting close on that fuel. It is getting close on that fuel. So what do we reckon? Need a caution within the next 10 to make sure that they can make it to the critical lap?
I would say so. And yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, that these guys are the ones who are looking at probably 2 stops to the end, unless there's a lot of cautions in the second half of this race. And there's guys out there who can go to the end, having already been in. Very weird. Can do 1 more stop to the end, having already been in from this point. So yeah, very strange situation in some senses. But that's the way that these races go. I do think, these guys are going to be aggressive because they won't be too upset to see a caution come out, but they obviously don't want to be involved in it, and that's the key thing.
That's the real key thing. Really aggressive move over into the other lane there from Donati, trying to block Brannon from getting past, maybe trying to spook him a little bit. But Brannon and Anderson, those guys are friends. They'll try and work together to get their way forward and try and defend against the assaults of Donati and Gill at the front of the field for the teammates. So, sometimes you got to have friends out there because it will help you in the long run and it will help you battle against those other cars. And it means you got a trusted person who can sit right behind you or can sit right ahead of you, and you can race clean with and you can try and strategize alongside.
Jack's pushing well here on the outside line and making a decent fist of this on the outside, although the inside holding firm just for the moment as they complete another lap here. They tick by very, very quickly under green flag conditions, that's for sure. 53 laps now complete here tonight from Atlanta, over the halfway mark, as Anderson again gets onto the back straight and pushes Brannon. He's got his nose in front, is he? Not quite. Very close on the back stretch here, but the outside line is becoming more and more of a feature now.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, in terms of how this race has kind of flowed and how the momentum shift has happened at this stage, I mean, realistically speaking, Ewan, if we don't get a caution, well, the percentage sits with those who've come in around about lap 43. Your Meadows, your Stevens, even Ferguson a bit further back on lap 44. If we get a caution prior to lap 60, all of a sudden the momentum swing goes back to the front drivers. There's Brannon and Donati, big contact, and that's a massive incident.
Oh, my
Absolutely
word.
Huge.
The 2 of the top contenders here tonight from Atlanta have both just hit the wall really hard in a big incident down towards turn 3. And I've got to say, it was a bit careless driving, to be honest. I think Donati ends up turning the former race leader, Bailey Brannon. They're both into pit lane. Let's see how it happened again. Excuse me.
Anderson gave him a little bump, and that got him loose.
Yeah.
So they were trying to bump draft, and unfortunately, that's caused Brannon to get loose on the back stretch.
I'll rescind my comment because you're right. Anderson hits Brannon, who has nowhere to go but straight into Donati. Is that the 11 again involved in the crash? Yeah, that's Taylor Strong again. Already 7 laps down, now going to be even more. Oh dear, and Brannon's car's the worst looking car I've seen in a while. That's pretty broken. And an engine gone for Donati by the looks of things as well. Pit stops are happening here for everybody but Meadows and Robert Stevens Jr., who came in, and Jordan Ferguson as well. They're the only ones on the lead, and Nate Owen. Only ones on the lead lap to have pitted sort of after or around that caution between the around the stage break. And so that's why those 4 have been able to get out to the front. Jack Anderson did 2 tyres, so did Trey Jones and Ryan Simmons. And so they're out ahead of the others, who are, a lot of whom actually taking damage repairs here. Logan Gill's spending quite a long time in pit lane right now.
How do you think Logan sped in pit lane? He's got a stop hold. I think he has sped in pit lane there, Ewan. And he has now had to park that car right in that pit box because he is still stopped in the pit bay of the 88 car. So that there, for my money, very likely could be win out the window for Logan Gill. That is going to be a very tough penalty to come back from.
I think it'll be, he'll have the laps to come back again. There's still more than 40 to go here, so I wouldn't be too worried about him for the moment. I think he'll be okay. There's Meadows. He's back in the lead again. Just, I think Nicholas Meadows has got a very good strategy on his hands right now. The only problem is... The only problem is he's got 3 other people on his strategy as well now, rather than earlier he was the only one. Now, other people have joined him now.
The true irony of all of this, for my money, and it is in the most Jordan fashion, he has gotten his way onto a podium position with 5 pit stops. But crucially, he pitted on lap 44, so he can get home with 1 more stop. So that's worked out well for him. What a day he's had, by the way. In and out of pit lane, damage on the car earlier on. I mean, went a lap down as well. If he can pull this off, if he can pull off a top 10 finish tonight, that is a solid result for that 46 car. A very solid result.
You're only as good as your last pit stop? Is that the phrase?
I think it is, yeah. It doesn't matter about the 4 beforehand. The importance is he took 1 where he can only need 1 more stop to get home. That's the important part. So he can do a 6-stop strategy to get to the end. What a wild call that is. But I'd say now, Ewan, if we get a caution thrown, maybe lap 65, maybe 66, we see them risk coming in a few laps prior, because remember, critical laps, lap 68, we could see them come in slightly early, take the fuel and save fuel under that caution and get home.
Yeah, I think actually the next caution, almost whenever it comes now for these guys, unless it's literally a corner and then another one, I think next caution almost no matter what here, they might well be in. And taking on that fuel. But let's wait and see as the lights are off and at the back of the field. Not sure what's going on back there, but Nicholas Meadows is going to bring us back to... Oh, no. Why are they not going? I thought I'd seen the pace car lights off. Someone's riding around the apron doing strange things here.
Dropped down. I think he's got an end of line. Yeah, he got an end of line because he had to come in with that damage. So he's got to get to the back of the row. We are going to go green this lap, by the way. Lights are out on the pace car, so...
Have these guys done over racing before? What are they doing back there?
I don't know. To be fair to Bailey, he does, as I mentioned many a times, he races sitting on a bucket, Ewan. So I have no more questions about Bailey at this point. I just expect anything.
Well, is he inside of a bucket or on top of one?
No. He sits on. He sits on top of a 5-gallon bucket. Yep. With a little NASCAR cushion on top of it. I think, ironically, from Atlanta Motor Speedway. So yeah, he legitimately sits on a bucket whilst he races. It's hilarious.
Have chairs not reached his part of the world yet?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know, to be honest with you. Now he's not very redneck himself, but it's the most redneck thing he could ever do. He's not redneck at all, but he could definitely have, you sit on a bucket. That's a pretty redneck thing. So it's interesting.
Well, yes. I mean, we'll buy him a chair. at some point.
Well, maybe if he wins the championship, he'll buy a bucket seat instead.
Into the pit lane meantime for the pace car. An extra lap, and there's not many on the outside, because that's how you can tell things have been going on in this race when that line is so long on the inside there. But anyway, back up into the restart zone, and Meadows leads the field away. We're back green again on lap number 60.
So watch now for the strategy play of those drivers who just came in and took tyres. So the benefit now sits with the likes of Anderson, Simmons, Trey Jones, William Hawker. Those guys have all got fresher tyres than the 4 cars who came in the mid-40s. So they'll have a little bit better grip advantage now over those other cars. But the important thing now is as well, for those front runners, both Anderson and Ferguson, teammates in the same channel together, they'll be able to talk together, they'll be able to strategize as well and try and figure out a way to attack this race and keep themselves clean for the next 10 laps or so before we get to critical. But lap 61 of 100 here, Ewan. We're only 7 laps away from real critical lap. If there's a caution thrown within the next 4, I think we expect to see some of those front runners risk it for the biscuit and come into pit lane.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're reaching that stage in the race now, and we've seen so many races this season where that has been the strategy that has prevailed. Watching other rivals fall by the wayside and lose track position as well as they come into pit lane throughout the day. It's often best pitting first for the last time, if that makes sense. So it's coming up soon, but so far it's green flag racing. That was close. Oh, we're about to be 3 wide for the first time as Jordan Ferguson's up high, right through the middle there for one of the drivers, and there's a bit of ducking down to the apron from Logan Gill. He wants to avoid trouble here on the backstretch. Oh, there's 3 wide again in the midfield there, just as they come through 3 and 4 on the low side. Trey Jones looking a little bit shaky, but they make it through again.
Somehow they survive. Anderson's now been forced on that outside line. Meadows on the inside now. In behind Anderson, directly in behind him. He's got Robert Stevens Jr. following him along. Ryan Simmers on that low line now helping out, pushing Meadows along too. So Anderson and Meadows side by side for the race lead. We're only a few laps away from critical lap. We'll see if any of them duck in early to try and just see and if they can strategize their way to a race win. But going for a green flag pit stop right now, probably not worth the risk.
Oh, close, and that's why, because a caution's only a moment away. Look at that through the quad oval there. William Hawker very nearly sliding up straight into the guys alongside of him, including Jones in that 1 car who very nearly got completely turned. The 32 car as well. Simmons getting very close to Robert Stevens Jr., who doesn't seem to have painted his numbers on, whatever. He's on the high side there, you can see. Up on the top, 3rd place at the moment, about to be 4th, as the low side again gets a nice run. And Nicholas Meadows continuing to control this race somewhat from the front. Jack Anderson challenging him on the outside. Never forget, Anderson can go a lot further on fuel than a lot of these other guys around him.
He can. He pitted on lap 56. He can go to lap 88 in this race on that fuel stop. He was probably 12 laps short of being able to make it to the end, but of course he was never going to make those 12 laps on that last tank of fuel. Front runners, though, are staying side by side at the moment. And at this stage, Ewan, who do you think it benefits? Who does it benefit right now? Does it benefit those drivers who can go longer, go to lap 88, need less fuel as they get loose? Or does it benefit those who've only needed the 1 stop for longer than those other guys?
I think there's a point here at which this could become very dangerous for those guys who are staying out. Like this, if this gets out of hand, this could be very dangerous for Meadows and those others who are on his strategy at the moment. We're unsure as to what his absolute upper limit is going to be. At the minimum is going to be lap 75 for Meadows, because that's 32 laps. We know they can manage that, but we have had cautions, and that might just allow you to save a bit. I've got to say, very worried about Hawker's line through the quad oval. I'm not sure quite, why he's taking such a line which almost every single lap smashes him into the outside line and very nearly causes a crash. Thankfully, it hasn't just yet, but it's getting ever more crowded out front as these guys realise they're in the final third of this race and they need to go now.
Next lap is critical. When we cross the line, any pit stops that happen after this point, they are guaranteed to make it home, whether it's green flag or caution flag running. So we're going to need to watch for early pit stops soon. Now, I'd say for those front runners who did come in on 56, as we mentioned, Ewan, they're going to go as long as possible. If there's a caution thrown, they only need 12 or 13 laps worth of fuel. So they're going to have a much shorter pit stop to the end of this race. Now, whether they take 2 tyres or not, that's up to their strategy, and that's up to whether they've saved tyres to this point. But it's game on. It is game on for those front runners, and it's game on for the strategists out there to try and figure out how can we win this race in pit lane, because that ultimately could be where it's won.
Oh, Hooker loose again through the quad oval and through the middle here. I think the one car was trying to just put itself through the middle, but maybe realising that's not the greatest idea. 22 car just coming off the bottom line there as Meadows gets very close to Anderson through 1 and 2. Anderson's pretty close to clear though on the backstretch, and maybe is. Oh, is that contact? Oh, it was contact. Anderson's in the wall. The big one happens through 3 and 4. Multiple cars involved. Jack Anderson was involved in this. Hawker is involved as well. Robert Stevens Jr. involved. Oh my word, we've got the big one through turn 3. The caution comes at the right moment for those who were looking dangerous on fuel for just a moment. The likes of Meadows, who leads this race now after avoiding a big one at the front of the field.
I mean, we'll obviously see a replay of it. I have to ask, why was Meadows crowding so high up into the midline? Because that ultimately is what's actually caused that.
Oh, Jesus.
Is Meadows was riding up into the midline and it's made contact with Anderson. Like, and we were watching him, Ewan, for that whole last lap. He was kind of riding up sort of towards the mid lane, almost inviting the 3 wide action. Why was he riding up like that? Why wasn't he staying low directly on the line?
To counter that, you could say the same. Why is Anderson trying to squeeze Meadows?
He wasn't. He got bumped.
There's something else that I haven't understood about that, is that Anderson got bumped there from Robert Stevens Jr. I mean, in that case, I'm kind of inclined to think it might have happened anyway, no matter where Meadows was actually. Now that I've seen that angle, because we saw it earlier with Brannon. Once you're bumped like that at such a crucial turning point at turn 3, you kind of, the crash is already got your name on it, unfortunately. There it is again. Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to think that might have happened anywhere, wherever Meadows was actually. Now that I've seen it again,
quite possibly may have happened. Although I think, I don't know if it would have been as drastic as what that moment was. If he was a little bit lower, but of course, we're trying to predict what may have possibly happened. We can only see what did happen, of course. Anderson is back in pit lane. I think he's actually had to tow back to pit lane, actually, because he automatically got put a lap ahead, so he's having to wait for that tow. Yeah, so what this has now done is, this has now helped the likes of Bailey Brannon, Logan Gill, who were caught up in those incidents earlier, but Brannon actually hasn't come into pit lane. He's stayed out.
Don't get that.
I don't know if he can make 45 laps to the end on fuel. I don't see that working out for him too well.
Unless he's envisaging a race in which from this point onwards, there's not a green flag run longer than 5 laps, and it's just caution after caution after caution after caution right the way to the very end. And I don't necessarily see that coming actually, but if he does, then suddenly 45 does become possible. I reckon with how many laps would he need? It's 13 laps more than what I think he'd need about 6 cautions. But if he thinks this will be a caution fest towards the end, 6 cautions in 30 laps is not implausible.
It's not. It's very, very possible, especially with the amount of cautions we've had thus far tonight. But the main issue would be is, although his tyres actually would be as old as Gill and James's, they haven't taken tyres. They've only taken fuel. So they've taken track position off this stop, and they're banking on maybe a late caution to come in and take some tyres possibly. So relatively speaking, outside of his fuel limitations, he's on a very similar strategy to those guys. Meadows is all of a sudden back into the hunt. Owen and Murdoch, in within a chance. Dyson, Jones, Murgy, they're all on that strategy as well. Although Tyler Murgy apparently hasn't pit since lap 36 according to the live timing. So I don't quite know how he's gone that far.
Yeah. Wow.
Although actually no, we're on lap 72. Meadows went 38 laps earlier, so through the cautions he's been able to do it without pitting.
But anyway.
But I don't think he'll remain there.
Well, yeah, Hooker's Automotive restart zone again, and Bailey Brannan again in control of the field. There's just 12 on the lead lap, by the way. Not all of them double file because of the wave arounds and lucky dogs and all the things that have been going on further down. So it's a much calmer restart now, and this doesn't come into Bailey Brannan's advantage too much, really. A nice and calm start to this next run of this race. It'll be 27 to go when they get to the line.
27 laps to go. Those guys that are pitted now can get to the end of this race. I think Anderson's race might be done, by the way, Ewan. He had already used his fast repair earlier on in the night, and unfortunately, I think that's him done and dusted. He is in the waiting room, so we could actually have a chat to him and ask him how that race went if we wish to at some point.
Because the caution will do it, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, the action at the front, as hot as ever. Brannan, James, Meadows, Dyson, all battling for the race lead. Any of them can win this race, but for Brannan, he needs maximum cautions to keep himself up there. Otherwise, he may be forced to do a green flag stop and end up way further down the field than he ever would have hoped for.
Yeah, exactly. He can't afford to let this get out of control, much like, well, same with the last run, to be honest, about those guys who had pitted quite a long time ago. If this gets out of control, and this is a run like we've not seen before in this race, he could be in trouble, although he's probably 15 laps away from feeling like he's a bit too low on fuel, to be honest. We'll have to go some way to managing that, as Meadows on the outside looks a little bit, they all look a little bit out of shape, don't they? And a little bit dangerous, but they make it through. The top 8, by the way, of those on the lead lap are all in here, I think, along with a few lap cars as well that are running out there at the moment. There's only a few drivers who are actually running who could feasibly get back on the lead lap. Nick Donati is out there running 1 lap down, Ryan Simmons 2 down, although he's not in this group. Donati is in this group, watching as the lead battle commences. Brannan on the inside and Gill looking right round the outside in car 88.
Yeah, it's intense, and I've been forced to eat my words right now, Ewan. Gill is back in it after that stop-hold penalty earlier in the race. That probably actually helped him, kept him out of the danger zone that was the front of the field after that massive incident. 24 laps to go. He's in with a chance at a race win tonight, but Jesse James, the old road dog himself, would love to steal that away from him and get himself into a more positive position in the championship. Brannan holds the inside. We ride on board with Gill on the outside line in that WeatherTech entry, who's got Trey Jones in the number 1 car hot on his heels, pushing him along at the moment. It's Brannan, it's Gill, battle for the race lead across the start-finish line. 23 laps to go, Ewan. And right now, Brannan will be feeling the pressure because he needs cautions to get this car to the end.
Maybe Gill is just getting that run now that sees him ahead at some point. The outside line is properly formed up now, and it's properly pushing Gill. In fact, it's pushing him a lot better than what he's being pushed on the low side there, Brannan. And if he gets boxed in, as well as needing the fuel and all of the other things that are being factored into this race at the moment, then this would be a miserable place for him to be. He's just not getting that assistance from the 5 car that Gill is getting from Trey Jones up on the high side there.
Yep, he needs Jesse James to push him along at this point in time. Be Strong exits pit lane. He returns to the field, but the front runners are tightly compacted as well, and that means that any small mistake, any little inch too far, could cause disaster, Ewan, if they're not careful.
Absolutely. Look at this. It's through the qual-over where I think it's especially dangerous for these guys. They're all over the place through there. There's Donati, by the way. You can see on the high side there, he's 3rd in line on the high side, trying to unlap himself in all this. He's going to get the lucky dog. I'd be hanging around at the back of this group, to be honest, hoping they crash and get the lucky dog nice and easily, because he's the only guy lap down at the moment. Although having said that, there are a couple who might get disconnected from the back, I suppose, and then become a lap down themselves as well. But anyway, he's just hanging about at the high side at the moment with nowhere to avoid if they crash. He's very much involved in it. As Gill goes over the line, just about in front, 20 to go, and these cautions aren't coming for Bailey Brannan at the moment.
No, they're not, and he is, his percentage and his stock is going lower and lower. Oh my God, I thought that could have been absolutely deadly. The issue now for Donati is if he unlaps himself from these guys, he'll no longer get the lucky dog rule, Ewan. So he'll still end up at risk of going a lap down to the cars that'll be right behind him. Brannan and Gill, though, how close do you want to get? How close do you want to hold hands around the tri-oval and up and through turn 1, 2? It is maximum pressure. It is maximum moments like this that make or break your season. And for Brannon, he wants to leave Echo Park as the championship leader. And to do that, well, he's going to have to beat Logan Gill.
Yeah, it's the two of them really who are going to be 1 and 2 in the championship at the end of tonight. But in what order is it going to be? That's the real key here. Contact, and he's going to go around as he goes. Oh, he's going to go around in front of the field, in front of Jones. Oh, he smacks the wall hard, and he's smacked into by a couple more as well. Trouble in the back as Bailey Brannon leads and gets his caution. It's Logan Gill, one of our championship leading protagonists, who hits the wall hard through 1 and 2.
There is massive, not just in terms of this race, Ewan, but in terms of this championship as well. That is a massive factor now on where Logan Gill could finish this race, because there are 16 or 15 laps to go, and that car may be done for the day after that contact. Towed back to pits, lapped down at least. At least his teammate will get his lucky dog now. But I think we can probably agree, Ewan, that is Logan Gill's race done and dusted at that stage.
Oh dear,
That's
it's a
true.
really big hit, and the 5 car gets into the side of him, and then it's all done. Trey Jones as well scrapes along the wall. Damage won't be as bad. Tim reminding us, of course, that the last time we wrote him off, he won the race at was it Kansas or something? Anyway, it might be in Nashville. So. Can't remember. It was ages ago. Can't remember. But yeah, he looks more done this time than he did that night, I've got to say. Bailey Brannon's into the pit lane, so he was never going to do it on the cautions. I don't know why he didn't come in under the previous one, but anyway, it's too late now. He comes in, so does Murdoch, Rinker, Roberts and Mike Rinker, so Charles and Mike both into the pit lane. We've still got 11, back up to 11 on the lead lap now, because a few have lost, of course, but Nick Donati is back on the lead lap again after getting that lucky dog.
So the benefit now for Brannon is, Ewan, he's about to get fresh tyres and he's P6. So that is actually now the real benefit and the bonus for Brannon, being able to pit now. Fresh tyres, fresh fuel, guaranteed to be P6 because the cars behind him came in, and Donati will always have to go to the end of the line. Donati's into pit lane as well now too. So right now, I think the strongest car on the field is that 6 car. I think it is the strongest car in the top 10. He's obviously at the front of the cars who've just pitted in now on fresh tyres. He took all 4, and those tyres are 14 laps newer than the top 5. He's going to have the grip advantage, and I think he may have the momentum advantage as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree, actually. Maybe, it's not a strategy I would have employed, as I said there at the time, but, I think...
Also, Logan Gill's race is over. He is out of the session.
And he's also in the banter room, as I call it.
He is in the broadcast waiting room. Oh, to be a fly on the wall in that one would be fantastic. But
not broadcastable either, I would imagine.
No, but very likely not. Very likely not. But right now, I think the momentum is probably with James and Jones, but I think the strategy and the car strength is with Brannon right now. Those fresh tires, fuel to the end. I think he's going to be the one to watch, but he is starting on that high line, so that could also be an issue. Yeah,
it just depends where he's more comfortable running and where the run's actually going to be coming from. 11 on the lead lap, as I mentioned, and you can see them all up towards the front at the moment. Ryan Simmons 2 down still in the race. So is Charlie Murgy 3 down. And the others at least 9 laps down, but still going. That I'm about to read out here. Trey Martin, Be Strong, Robert Stevens Jr. still in the game. And that is it. So they're all running further down. Robert Stevens Jr. is 13 laps down, still going. So looking to pick up points here, tonight. Robert Stevens Jr. does need those as well. 5th place in the championship at the moment, and would be possibly gaining some more places with the longer this goes on, especially with Logan Gill out of the race. just another 10 laps complete for him, and he'll gain another point, Robert Stevens Jr. So he's going to plug away just for anything he can get now to the end as the pace car pulls in. We've got 14 laps to go here from Atlanta Motor Speedway into the Hawkers Automotive restart zone. We go again. It's Jesse James who restarts from the front. The driver who effectively caused that previous caution now leads and gets us back underway. Emerging for the lead, very much so at the front, and it's Bailey Brannan immediately who gets to the front. Look at this, Charles Rinker comes through on the new tyres as well. The 6 and the 7 both take 4 tyres, and they both race to the front on the opening lap of the restart.
Yep, there's 2 cars which are the strongest to run amongst this field. Fresh tyres, as I mentioned. They've got the strategy as Jones slaps it into the wall again. He'll drop spots. Let's see how he settles himself. He'll look to tuck probably behind that low-line cars, but he's not really in the benefactor position at the moment. Brannan, Rinker, and James battle away at the front of the field as well. But Rinker and Brannan on those better tyres at the moment. They've got the grip advantage for the final 12 laps of this race. And it's a battle between the 5, 6, and 7 car for P1, 2, 3 on the road. Do a bit of maths, do some arithmetic, figure it out for yourself. One of them is going to come away with the win at Echo Park.
He's getting very close behind at the moment. Excuse me, Charles Rinker looking left and right as things stand. And next in line is Jesse James, then Joe Dyson and John Roberts, who rounded out the top 5, both up so many places so far today. And neither driver we've really spoken about too much so far today, but has a decent shot and a good run to the end here. Side by side between Roberts and Dyson, actually, as the outside line starts to try and form itself up here. We've not seen very much yet of the outside line, but they are properly starting to give this a go now, and there'll be somebody else, I'd imagine, jumping up there in a moment to try and help them.
And as they battle away, you can see Roberts is just getting caught up and dropping a few spots there. But this top 3 for the final 10 laps, Rinker, Brannan, and James, who will battle along for a race win. It's going to take tenacity here, Ewan. It's going to take them to properly be prepared to fight their way forward. They got to try and figure out when the momentum swing is, when they can swing their momentum to get the car to the front of the field. That's going to be the important factor tonight for those drivers battling up the front.
That was close for Meadows, actually, for completely losing the car there. You've got to remember that this is plate racing, but it's so much more about car handling, I think, than Daytona. And Talladega, there's the contact. Here it goes. Through 3 and 4, and there goes Meadows into the fence hard. And in the second half of the field, you're done. Trey Jones involved as well in the 1 car. That'll be that for anyone not really in the top 4 or 5 there in the lead lap or off the lead lap as well. That's a big crash down towards the back of the field. And with 8 laps to go, less than 8 laps to go, we are under caution again.
That was absolutely diabolical, Ewan. I mean, just a mammoth incident late in the race. Race is done for those drivers. I mean, it's going to be very, almost nigh impossible for them to come back in that one. Let's watch it at full speed and how that occurred. So they got a bit of contact with the 32. That's then happened with Donati, Meadows, and Co. as they run through. Donati somehow came out unscathed in the 93 car, but multiple cars involved, multiple in pit lane, and multiple with massive damage as well. That is a huge incident.
Yeah, the scale of, not necessarily the scale of the amount of cars involved, but the amount of damage done to the ones that are involved has been massive this time around. It's 32 that's hit by Meadows, first of all. Meadows does get involved in it, and as you say, Donati somehow avoids, but for those, the rest of them behind, I mean, the amount of damage that the cars have there is just extraordinary. It was this shot here that confirmed it to me. Look at those two just limping away from the crash like an injured football player or something, trying to get themselves off the field. That was big for these cars, and might be the end of their days.
That there, Ewan, if you want to reference football, that was like a player wearing metal cleats and slide tackling straight into the back of somebody's calf. I mean, that was destructive of all things, and that there was just a massive incident, a massive moment. So late in this race as well, multiple drivers' races ended, and lucky to come away unscathed was the top 7. Even though Donati, who's been kind of given the name by the chat, Donatello, apparently, has somehow come out unscathed into the top 5. I don't know, but just referencing that he's Donatello from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, apparently. So,
I see.
But yeah, so the top 5 at the moment, I mean, Donati's in a strong car, Roberts in a strong car, James has got a bit older tyres, he's going to struggle for grip. Rinka and Brannon, we've got 6 to go, but by the time we get restarted, we're probably going to have, 4 laps to go here, Ewan? Yeah. So if there's a caution thrown, we'll go into overtime. It's going to be 5 laps to go when we get going again. So if there's a caution thrown in the next 4 laps, we're going to go into overtime with a green-white checkered scenario. If we go green, we'll meet the 100 laps, and it's going to be a dogfight to the end. Right now, though, I think the battle is between the 7 and the 6. I think the 5 is going to struggle for grip compared to them. They've got much fresher rubber on their car. I think it's between those two. If they make contact, obviously, then cars behind will try and take advantage and steal the win.
I think Donati's got a decent chance, actually, from the inside of row 3. He's on those same age tyres as those out front. Just see Mike Rinker come in again here. I'm not sure whether he's still repairing damage from earlier on, but he's now last on the lead lap, 7th place. So this is why he's going to win the championship, because he's not. We're not talking about him pretty much all day, but he's still 7th. So it's looking good for me. But anyway, it's been hanging around at the back, and he will just about get formed up in time for us to restart here. Taking a bit of a late stop there, to be honest, but anyway, he clearly needed a bit more damage repaired or another tyre change or whatever he needed. So he's back into the fray again. As you say, it will be 5 laps to go. Lap 95 about to be completed here from the power line 150. 100 laps here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway in round 6 of our championship. As Brannon brings them to the restart zone, we're underway again, and he'll get that good launch, we know that, but now what about Charles Rinker and the rest of them? How can they try and get past him in these final moments of this race?
Well, it's crunch time now at Echo Park, and it is crunch time for these drivers to really make a name for themselves on the way to the playoffs in 3 weeks' time. Bailey Brannon leads the way, championship contender. Charles Rinker, this will be a great ego boost for him and a great points gain as well. Jesse James is a championship contender too. And with 4 laps to go when they cross the line, Ewan, they've got to try and get the momentum swing in their favour. But they're going to have no one behind them wanting to give them a benefit as the 43 sent it on the outside of James. Wants to get it onto the podium, but he can't go much further than that because the 7 and the 6 car have got that draft and it's keeping them ahead. But now the 7 wants the push from the 43. He's found a friend that can push him ahead. He needs someone that can push him along. Otherwise, he's never going to get past the 6.
Yeah, and he's going to struggle anyway here. Robert's not as close as he needs to be to try and push them along, as Donati's just sort of indecisive at the moment as well, deciding whether to go low, go high. It's side by side for the lead. Brannon and Rinker, door to door, off of 2. They are fighting hard for this win, and Charles Rinker doing this with little help, really.
He is indeed, and James is trying to push Brannon ahead because James would love to try and get into a nice little draft train that pushes him up into P2 ahead of Rinker, which they're now side by side across the tri-oval. Can he get pushed along here by Donati, which would help give him an advantage? 2 laps left here, Ewan, and if we don't get a caution thrown on this lap, it'll be white flag next time by.
Certainly will, and at the moment Bailey Brannan's controlling this race very, very nicely. He's already got one win this season. Can he make it two? So, oh no, there's contact! James is across the course, and Donati's siding as well. Do we get away with it? It looks like we might do. It's the caution flies! The caution flies! And with just about the white flag about to be waved, Bailey Brannan is denied, because surely he was going to go on to win that race, but he's got to do it all over again.
Green, white, checkered scenario, overtime. It's now a shootout, Ewan. Pick your best 5, put them in front of goal, and see if they can make it stick. And for Brannan and Rinker, John Roberts is in there too. He's on the same strategy. Levi Murdoch's on the same strategy as well. But for my money right now, I don't know if the cars behind Rinker are going to want to help him to get past Brannan, or if they're going to want to just sit in a line astern and try and sneak past him if he tries to do something to get by the 6 car at the front of the field. You know, smart play here for Roberts and Murdoch is you tuck up in behind. You hope the 7 tries to go on the outside line, and then you get up behind the 6 and you guys pull ahead and pull away from the 7 car. That's a massive incident. Absolutely massive. Donati, his day's done. Jesse James's day is very likely in the mud as well, as you can see him there in the grass. Top 4. That's the battle now for the race lead.
It is. They're the only ones on the lead lap now. As we cross lap 100 officially. We've done our 150 miles. Time to go a little bit further, as it turns out. And take on the green-white checkers for the first time. I think, you know, normally I would agree that, yeah, they might not want to try and push Rinker and help him win the race. But actually, I feel like it's going to be different for these guys, since they know 4th is the worst they can finish effectively in this race. You know, there'll be a couple of guys only a lap or 2 down, and that might be a slight concern, but, you know, not massive concern. And surely knowing that they are so close to, you know, or guaranteed, I should say, a top 4 finish pretty much, they might be willing to take a bit more risk than we think.
They very well may. That there, I think it's going to go to, well, Jesse James is the top seeded lapped car at the moment, but Ryan Simmons will gain past him. So Simmons, I think, will actually get the lucky dog here, Ewan, which might give us top 5, but he'll have to go to the back of the line, which is not really going to give him any advantage unless the top 4 crash.
Well, he's 2 laps down also, so it's going to guarantee him 5th, I suppose. But yeah, he is. At which point is he going to go past anyway?
I don't know. Well, I think it has to happen when he actually gets past James for position, which will happen now as he passes pit lane. So now he should get the wave around, although they look like they're going to go restarted. So maybe he's going to miss out here because James was in pit road and couldn't actually take his lucky dog.
I was under the impression that when the lucky dog driver's involved in the crash, that it's just cancelled and there is no lucky dog. But
okay. Well.
Maybe I've got that wrong.
No lucky dog then.
But yeah, it's going to be a big battle for 5th, by the way, between Mike Rinker, Ryan Simmons, and Joe Dyson. Jesse James and Logan Gill are going to be involved. Well, if James can get out the pit lane, will be involved as well. But anyway, yes, let's see how they go on this restart. We'll really be focusing on the front 4 here, because they're going to fight super hard for the win, and who knows, this may not even be the last restart.
Yeah, it may not. We may get one more green, white, checkered scenario. The issue is, Ewan, we've only got 2 laps for a caution to get called if we were to go green, white, checkered again. So they'll survive. If they survive 2 more laps and we get white flag thrown, we'll guarantee make it to the end. It won't throw another caution on that last lap. So anything can happen. Top 4 in this battle now. Realistically speaking, they're probably going to have to work in duos. It's going to have to be the 7 and the 99 work together, and then the 6 and the 43 work together, and see who comes out on top in the top 2 spots.
Into the Hawkins Automotive restart zone for what could be the final time tonight here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're underway again. It's not a good restart from Charles Rinker there. Inside him is John Roberts, who's looking to take that 2nd position away. Inside line, and he will take it away with 2 laps to go. The 32 will follow through as well. That's Ryan Simmons, who's unlapping himself, or trying to. Not that that matters too much. There's almost side-to-side contact down the backstretch as Roberts closes on Brannan, who might have have even got too far out front here, as the others will get a big run. Rinker's going to have the chance to come back again, and they're close to seeing the white flag through the quad oval. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Blue Line Technologies. We are going to end it here with just this final lap. Rinker on the outside, great push on the outside from Levi Murdoch, who's not featured too much this afternoon, but might well just make a big impression late here. Rinker hoping for his push, and Brannan's hoping for the push of Roberts. Oh, there's contact! They're going to end up down the side of the road. Brannan saves it somehow. There's a big crash in the background for Rinker. The 43 car still leads though, John Roberts. Is he going to get switched back on by Murdoch, who gets to the inside? There's more contact over the line. Oh, it's Roberts. Roberts wins it. He's going to spin and crash his way over the line, but John Roberts wins. He started the day in last position, 26th on the grid, but he's just won here at Atlanta for the first time. That is extraordinary. A great finish in overtime, and John Roberts goes from last to first in the Powerline 150, and he wins here tonight.
8 pit stops for John Roberts tonight, Ewan, I think is also a thing that needs to be mentioned as well. 8 times he traversed pit lane, and he was up 25 spots to the race win. In a wild end to that race. A wild end. Brannan and Rinker come together on the final lap as they tried to side draft. The 99 of Murdoch then tried to come past John Roberts. They made a bit of contact. Roberts survived in the race lead. It's a messy end to the race, it must be said. But what a race it was. 105 laps, or 104 laps was the ending amount that we went. And by God, by golly, what a race end.
You saw in the background Ryan Simmons and Mike Rinker fighting for 5th place. They only just went side by side themselves. There they go over the line. Almost 4 wide, wasn't it? Although 2 of them weren't on the lead lap. 2 cars spinning over the line effectively there as they fought for the race win. And John Roberts takes the victory here tonight from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Coming today on the 20th in the point standings. Only just over 20 points, though, off of the top 10. He is a playoff contender, especially after that performance there.
He is a playoff contender. It's a hell of a race for those guys. A wacky finish, it must be said, Ewan. Let's drag in, though, as we'll drag in a moment now, provisional race results. John Roberts wins to Levi Murdoch, Bailey Brannan, and Charles Rinker for the last cars on the lead lap there. Ryan Simmons, Mike Rinker, Joe Dyson, Jesse James, Nick Donati, and Logan Gill made up the top 10. And the rest of the field, well, pretty much they were either laps down or out of the race.
Yep, they certainly were. Joe Dyson 5 down. The guys 6 down in the end were Nick Donati, who didn't actually, I don't think he re-emerged actually after his crash, but yeah, that's all the other guys a long way laps down. We'll see how that affects the playoffs, of course, and the standings when we come back next week and we have a bit of a better idea and everything will be a bit clearer as to who might make the top 10 and who won't. I think what might well be clear, though, is that Brannan's pretty much there now. Even though he didn't win here today, he's pretty much there as far as being in the playoffs goes. But that doesn't mean it's over. By finishing first in the regular season, you gain more playoff points than you do for finishing just scraping through in 10th, for example, as you'd expect. And that all matters going on the way towards that end of season, as we know. But anyway, we'll talk more about that in the future. For now, let's bring in John Roberts, who hopefully is ready to chat to us after that finish. John, welcome in. Good to have you with us. Congrats on your win here tonight at Atlanta. How were those final couple of laps there in that late race restart?
Oh, that was absolutely crazy, going from third, somehow winning after 2 wrecks.
And talk us how you came through the field. You started last, let's not forget, here tonight. Although maybe that doesn't matter too much in your head. You don't think about that too much. But you must have had to work your way through a lot of the field tonight.
Well, the plan for the first about 70 to 80 laps was just to hang back and try and avoid wrecks as best as I could. And come to see it, I didn't even use my fast repair. So I think I did a pretty good job at that.
Absolutely. You might be one of the few who can say that at the end of today, that's for sure. Are the playoffs a reasonable target for you now? You were only about 20 points off coming into tonight. You've just scored 40. How are you feeling about those towards the end of the season?
Yeah, I've definitely been watching that the last race or two, but last race for me wasn't very good, so I was kind of thinking had no shot for that. And then now after the win, definitely gonna have a little bit more pep in my step the next race.
Well, we look forward to it next week, of course. John, thanks for chatting to us here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next week out at Darlington.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. John Roberts, our winner tonight, after coming from the very back of the field to get ahead and win this race tonight, ahead of Levi Murdoch, who can now join us as well. Levi, welcome in. Good to have you with us as well. Very, very close to you. We're winning this race even tonight. Tell us about that last lap and that photo finish with John Roberts at the end there.
Yeah, I tried to, I don't know. He kind of went up the track, and I thought I had an open lane, and I didn't really want to wreck him. That's not really what I wanted to do, but I guess that's what happened. But, yeah, it was a good race. I just tried to stay in the back most of the race, 'cause I knew there was going to be a lot of cautions.
Yeah, well, yeah. How difficult was it to stay out of being involved in them, though, even hanging around at the back of the field in all the incidents today?
Well, I know I've slid through the grass probably 5 or 6 different times just trying to avoid wrecks, but yeah, it was pretty difficult. I don't know, just give yourself a good gap and hope for the best, I guess.
Well, that's all you can do, Levi. Welcome. Congratulations, I should say, on second place. And thanks for chatting to us at the end of the race as well.
Yep. Thank you, guys. And I think I got my internet fixed. I don't think I was blinking anymore.
No, I don't think so. I think it was all good. So there you go. There's a positive as well. But Levi Murdoch, second place here tonight from Atlanta in the power line at 150. We do have Bailey Brannan down there as well to come and chat to. Third place for him tonight. Bailey, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and congrats on finishing third, although I'm imagining you're not delighted with being in third place. Tell us how you're feeling at the end of that race.
I'm a little disappointed that we just couldn't keep it clean. I mean, I understand, like, we're all antsy, Levi just was trying to get, I guess, Charles in front of me, so maybe he had a shot at it, but, that's just Atlanta racing right there at its finest. There's not really much you can do about that. It's a little disappointing that I was out front and I couldn't keep it out front, but I'm just glad that even after getting bumped to the apron, I was still able to come home third.
Yeah, exactly. So that says a lot about the race as well. Yeah, I mean, do you actually? As a commentator and a watcher, I must admit to not enjoying watching this new style of racing at Atlanta. What is it like as a driver? Do you sort of roll your eyes when you see Atlanta come up on the schedule, or is it to actually get you excited as a driver or not?
One of my favorite quotes about Atlanta was I heard it was described like a scary house where, like, you're terrified but you're having the time of your life. And that is exactly how I felt driving today. I was terrified because we're so close and the track is so narrow and we're going so fast, but it's a lot of fun especially being able to hold it, because I know we held it green for I think the longest stint might have been 15, 20 laps maybe. I might be being too generous, but it was pretty fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, when we get those longer green flag runs, it's certainly a bit of fun. You might well have locked your way into the playoffs tonight. Not entirely sure on the maths, but you'll know that you're going to be there. It's just about where you're going to finish in the regular season. Now, you must be pleased, though, to be, I'm pretty sure, in the championship lead now with 2 races to go to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I'm really happy about that. I just wish Cody was here, because I don't like just taking it because he didn't, he wasn't able to make it. Hopefully when he gets back, he can. He'll give me a good battle, but yeah, I am glad to take that points lead though.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you again next week, Bailey. But for now, thanks for chatting to us, and congrats on finishing third tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. That's Bailey Brannan finishing third tonight at Atlanta. Well, Hamish, that was exactly what you'd expect from Atlanta, really. I did enjoy the finish in the end. It was dramatic, as you could expect, but it was classic Atlanta racing. We weren't expecting anything much different to that, really.
Yeah, ended about as I expected after the rest of the race had gone. I think it, definitely was a spectacle. So for the neutrals out there who were watching along, or even the drivers who were out of the race already, they had a great finish to watch. Of course, we had a great time calling it as well. I'm interested for the next 2 weeks because they're two tracks I've not had an opportunity to call just yet, Darlington and Auto Club. So I'm not quite sure how those races are going to go. I'm not quite sure how Vegas is going to go either. I know exactly how Dega's going to go, and I know exactly how Homestead's going to go. So it's going to be a very interesting next couple of weeks.
Absolutely, as the race for the playoffs really begins to heat up. When we come back next week, and certainly the week after, we will have much better idea as to who's going to be there, who's in contention to be there as well at the end of this season. And that'll be just about it from us here tonight. This has been the I2I Motorsports Xfinity Championship live from Atlanta tonight. We'll be back in 7 days' time for Darlington. In fact, every week now until October 4th, and that finale at Homestead at the end of the playoffs. I've been Ewan O'Leary tonight alongside Hamish Munro with Jim Cunningham behind the cameras. As always, we'll be back next week at Darlington. But for now, from all of us, it's goodbye.